Today we're going to talk about closing. Most people think it's a pressure technique, but really it deploys psychology. Let me show you how. We're going to give you techniques on how to be a good closer without being pushy, using great psychology. This isn't pie in the sky ethereal theory. No. This is in the trenches practical experience. This is what works. You see, the mindset of a closer isn't thinking about how do I close this client? Not at all. They are thinking about how do I serve this client? How can I be at the highest level of service? That's how you close deals. Confidence comes from preparation, not persuasion. Being completely prepared for the negotiation, for the meeting. At the end of the day, the most important thing is long-term relationships. That's how you keep your pipeline flowing. That's how you keep your deal count up. One of the real secrets in adapting the psychology is using a long-term relationship philosophy. You always want to be thinking about the long-term relationship because this is how you're going to keep your pipeline full and how you're going to have loyal clients. Also, don't forget to read the room. Use your emotional intelligence. Watch what's going on and be ready to pivot if necessary. Here's a big one, the silent close. When there is silence in the room, don't be the first to speak. Everybody knows this rule, but nobody follows it. The person that speaks first loses their power. And you want to hear what the other person is thinking. And if you say something, it's going to change what they're thinking, or they may respond to what you say. So by staying silent, you will learn so much more. Extremely important. Here's a great story that I experienced actually where the agent spoke first. So we're in the room and we've made our presentation. It's gone extremely well. The seller says to us, I want to go with you guys. I'm canceling my next appointment. And right there, the agent should have just zipped it, but instead said, appointment with who? And right there, we lost the edge, we lost the confidence because that seller became aware that we were concerned about who we were pitching against, and we ended up losing the listing. If that agent had just zipped it, we would have been able to have signed the listing on the spot. Big mistake. Silence is gold. Another one of the great ways of negotiating is to get on the same side of the table as your client. This is the assumptive close. And we start saying things like we, and when we go out and photograph the property, and when we write the copy, and when we stage this property, and when we get ready to launch this property, I want you to be a part of our team and be a vital member of our team so that we can work together really well. That kind of conversation goes a long way in making that seller or buyer extremely comfortable with you because they realize that they're not in opposition with you, that you're working with them side by side on the same team. Another one of my favorite ways to help buyers and sellers make decisions is to give them options. Sometimes when they only have one choice, it's really difficult to decide. But if you give them two choices, they will either pick one or the other, or they will somehow merge the two. By the way, never do three, because that takes you back to one. It's confusing. So two choices is always the best. The story close is always great. If you can tell a story, if you can explain a situation, if you can give some type of a story that sellers or buyers can relate to, they will tune in and they will feel more comfortable with you in making the decision to go forward. Or not, because don't forget, we're always going for the long-term relationship. We're not trying to force anybody to do anything. The secret of closing is always building that long-term relationship. The reverse close, I hate the term because it sounds manipulative, but it's actually very, very effective and it's very honest. When a buyer or a seller are really struggling to make a decision and they just are not willing to get off their deal point or whatever, I always give them the option of walking away completely. They call that the reverse close. But what it signals and tells that client is, I'm not just here for myself and the commission. If this is not the right deal for you, let's move on. And once they sense that freedom, they're going to make one of two choices, either to move on or keep moving forward. I would say 75 to 80% of the time they move forward. But sometimes they just go, thank God, because this is really not the right property for us. So it's a really, really effective tool to use. Take yourself out of it. Give them the option to not go forward if they don't want to. That's going to make them really comfortable. The why not now close is a great close, but I don't even like using the word close, as you could tell, because we're not closing anyone. You can't close anybody on anything. If you actually do and you are successful at closing somebody on a deal, almost 80% of the time they're going to back out. They're going to realize they didn't want to do it. They were going to realize they got forced into it, and they'll call you up and they're going to say, you know, Peter, hey, listen, we just don't want to go forward with this. That's because you closed them. But the why not now is a great question. The why not now helps you figure out their motivation, helps you figure out their timeline. It helps you to figure out what they're going to be comfortable doing going forward. I love the why not now. And just keep saying why. Be like a little kid. Why? You know, the kid says, you go, the sky's infinite. You can never touch it. Why? The moon, the stars. Why? You know, it's just always why. And from that, you're going to learn everything you need to know about the client to best service them. And what did we talk about in the beginning? A good closer knows that they come from service. Now, there's some other things to do that are very, very important. And this is part of the NLP language. And one of them is match and mirror. You have to match the pace they speak at. You have to mirror their body language and make them comfortable to be with you. Like if you're a very hard driver and you're just like right to the point and the person across from you is touchy-feely, that's just not gonna work. They're not gonna relate to you. And being a salesperson, you have to be relatable. So always adapting and adjusting and being a mirror of the person across from you is key and critical. Future pacing is one of my favorite things to do too, is to have them imagine what it looks like in the future. Have them imagine if they go forward with this transaction, what the good possibilities are gonna be. Have them imagine themselves living there, imagining their furniture going into that space. The future pacing is really key, and it also kind of prepares them because they can't see around corners like we can. So we know that at some point in this deal, if you're a seller, the buyer's going to come back with asking for a credit. They're going to do their physical inspection. They might find stuff, they may not, but they're still going to probably ask you for a credit. Why? It's their last effort to actually get a better deal. So by future pacing that, letting your clients know in advance that's got to happen, it helps prepare them mentally so they don't become so distraught when it happens. If you can tie the solution to their language and their pain points, not generic pitches, you're going to be way more effective in your negotiation. So understanding their language, understanding their pain points is key and critical in any negotiation. I think you have to be honest about downsides too. If you're all pie in the sky, it's just not realistic. So everybody has to know the good and the bad. I like to point out what's wrong as much as what's good, balance it out, and if it falls on more good than bad, then usually you move forward. Nothing's perfect. I haven't found a perfect house yet. I don't care if you're spending 50 million or 500,000. There is no perfect house and there's always compromise. So here are some practical steps to implement. Work on all these things we talked about. Work on developing a long-term relationship mentality. Work on being service-oriented. Work on being quiet when you need to be quiet. Work on learning your client's language and what their pain points are. Understand their timing so that you can future pace with them. Help them envision what they are going to purchase and what it's going to be like living there and owning this particular piece of property. Use all of these techniques. Don't force them into your negotiations, but practice them, think about them, and be aware of them. Particularly the silent one. That's a really important one. Stay silent when you should stay silent. And then keep records, keep a journal. See what works and doesn't work for you. Everybody's a little different. I really like scripts and dialogues too. Don't get me wrong. I believe in them like a great actor. Every great actor had a great script. Every great actor internalized that script. Every actor made that script them, you know, and that's part of it. And your script should be based on your values. It should be based on your real estate beliefs. It should be based on solid investment strategies, and it should be based on doing what's right for the client. End of the day, service. Do the right thing. Do what's right for the client. Help them build wealth. Help them find a home that they're gonna love forever. Always, always put yourself on the same side of the table as them. And then keep records. Keep client stories that you can share them with new clients going forward. Everybody loves to know that they're working with a great agent. I'll give you a great example. I had spine surgery on January 3rd this year, 2025. And everybody I talked to going up to that surgery said, don't do it. Nobody's ever had a great experience. Everybody I know that's had spine surgery, they continue to have neck and back problems. And I had a little problem in my C7 and C6. So I go to the doctor and I said, well, what about yoga? He sort of chuckled and said, try it. What about acupuncture? He kind of chuckled and said, you know, give it a go. If it works, great. I said, what about physical therapy? Give it a go, try it. But honestly, I was in so much pain And I'm kind of that kind of person anyways. I do yoga, I do physical things, I go to chiropractor, I do everything I can to take care of myself. And I said to him, can I just be honest with you? I'm so afraid of having surgery done on my neck because everybody has told me it doesn't work. And he kind of smiled and he looked at me and he said, Peter, he said, when you're ready to have surgery, he said, I will give you 1,000 names of clients and patients that I've worked on that all had successful surgery. And I said, you've done over 1,000 successful surgeries? He said, yes. And that was his story. And that's when I realized I was talking to the wrong people. And I went ahead and had the surgery, and here I am today, back at CrossFit, back at everything. So it's stories are powerful, stories are important. When he told me I could talk to 1,000 people, I realized I was in good hands. That's the kind of credibility you need as an agent to be a great negotiator.